All right, guys, so let's talk about today's lesson, which is triangle congruence by SSS. And SSS stands for side, side, side. Now you have two triangles, and this side, GH, for example, is congruent or equal to the corresponding side, PQ. So let me do it. So this one over here, right? GH, right? Is congruent or equal to this side over here, this corresponding side, PQ. And GF, this side over here, is congruent to the corresponding side of the other triangle, PR. Right? And this side over here, HF, is congruent to this side over here of the other triangle, QR. Then what we got is side, 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 side. These two triangles are going to be congruent to each other because of side, side, side. Okay, when you have two triangles and the corresponding sides are congruent to each other, they are going to be congruent, they're going to be equal to each other. So in this case, triangle, okay, GHF is congruent to triangle PQR because of side, side, side. Okay. Now let's do some proofs. Let's apply this knowledge to a proof. Okay. So now let's take a look at these two triangles here. Right? They're giving you the following: given HF is congruent to HG. So they're saying that HF, this one over here, right? This side is congruent to HJ, this one over here. And FG, this side over here, is congruent to JK, to this one here, right? And they're telling you, hey, H is the midpoint of G and K. So this is the midpoint between this. So this basically, this point H is basically the midpoint of this segment GK, right? So they want you to prove that this triangle FGH is congruent to triangle JKH. Right? That's what they want to prove. Well, we're going to have basically a way to prove it is to use statements and reasons. So in this case, we got statement. We got the statement number one. HF is congruent to HJ and FG is congruent to JK. Okay? Why are they congruent to each other? Why are they same? Well, the reason is given. See, they're telling you right here. They're telling you also right here. So that will be the reason. So let me write down over here. Given. That's the reason. They're telling you that information. And most of the time, they're going to give you some giving information. Anyways. Now, H is the midpoint of GK. Well, that one is also given. They're telling you over here. H is the midpoint of GK. And also, I'm telling you over here, right here. So that will be also given information. Now the next one over here, they're telling you that the GH is congruent to HK. So they're telling you that this is congruent to that. What is the reason? Well, it's not given, so it's not there. But the reason over here is definition of midpoint. Because if this is the midpoint of the whole thing here, right? So that means that if this is the midpoint, this segment GH is going to be the same thing as this one because that's the midpoint. So the reason over here is definition of midpoint. And finally, okay, finally, the last statement is always going to be, the last statement always going to be what you're trying to prove. It's always going to be this. That's the last statement, right? So triangle FGH is congruent to triangle JKH. No, what is the reason? Well, the reason is, the reason is side. We know that this side over here is congruent to this one. We know, and that's S, right? S. We know that this side is congruent to that one. And also we know that this side is congruent to that one. So we have enough reason now to tell that these two triangles are congruent to each other by the postulate side. And you are done with the proof. All right? So let's do another example. I know it looks a little complicated, but you're gonna get used to it. So let me flip or get another page here. Let's do another example. And this one I want you guys to try yourself, see if I can make it better so we can see it. It's right there. So that's better. So we got the following. Given M is the midpoint of XY, so this is the midpoint. So we know that's the midpoint. And given that AX is congruent or equal to AY, they want you to prove that triangle AMX is congruent to triangle AYM. So I got the statements here. I want you guys to give me the reasons. See how far you go. Okay, pause the video, see how far you go. All right. So I hope you at least were able to do a couple of them. Okay, especially the given ones. Those are the easy ones. So we got AX is congruent to AY. AX is congruent to AY. The reason, the reason is right there. It's given. It's right here. So let's write it down given. So let me use a different color here. Given. Then we got M. Looks like we didn't see that. M, sorry. M is the midpoint of XY. Well, we know that information right here is given information. So that will be given. Now we gotta know XM, right? XM, right? And over here we got MY equal to YM, sorry. Why is this one equal to that one? Why is this segment equal to that one? Well, if this is the midpoint, that will be definition of the midpoint. Let me write down def midpoint. All right. The next one is gonna be AM is congruent to AM. So they're saying that this AM is the same thing as that one. Now, they are sharing the same side. Okay. So this is something new. So I can write down over here that is the same thing as that. Now, how do we explain that? Okay, I know that I say, hey, it's the same side, Mr. Velosa. Well, it's a property, and that property is called the reflexive property. Like you're looking yourself in the mirror, you're reflecting yourself, right? Reflexive property. So I'm gonna write down reflex. I'm just gonna cut it down instead of write down reflexive, right? Reflex property. So every time triangles are sharing the same side or the same angle, okay, that's gonna be calling the reflexive property. And finally, I need to finish this, right? I need to write down the last statement here, okay? And because we have enough already, we got side. See, you got with side. We got side, right? We got everything there. So I need to write down the last one. So triangle AMX is congruent to triangle AMY because of side, side, side. See, these corresponding these sides of this triangle are congruent to the corresponding sides of the other triangle here. So that will be statement number 5, side, side, side. Okay, I hope you guys understand that, and please don't forget to do your classwork or homework. Thank you.